CineMerts. Welcome to the CineMerts podcast with Max Colson and Levi Johnson. We're a couple of guys who like films. We like films about baskets, films about weaving baskets, films about collecting baskets, stealing baskets, jumping into baskets, cats in baskets, dogs in baskets, anything with baskets. This is the basket podcast. No, this is the CineMerts podcast. And today we watched Basket. Shaolin Soccer. The other one has baskets in it. What's it called?
Kung Fu Hustle, baby!
Kung Fu Hustle. Best film about baskets yet. Okay, let's go.
There's a basket full of snakes.
There's a basket full of snakes. There's quite a few baskets in the film. It's set in a Chinese village. There's plenty of baskets.
Fucking Pigsty Alley.
God, it had been so long since I last saw this movie, and it's still great. To be honest, I think I appreciate it a lot more now.
Yeah, so I forgot that this is my favourite movie. There's been a few in the last few years. RoboCop, Princess Bride, Spider-Man 2. No, this is my favourite movie. I forgot how much this movie is just ingrained in my memory. Oh wow, this movie's good.
Yeah, the thing is, it was never one of my big favourites. I mean, I know it was for you. For me, it was just it was good. I remember really liking it. First time I watched it wasn't as good because it was at the cinema and they showed the English dub.
Ouch.
And the English dub isn't very good. I'm not an anti-dub person.
And I'm not really a super pro-dub person either.
No, I will take what I can get. I'm used, dub, subtitles, as long as it's okay, I don't, as long as it's done well, I don't care which I get.
Yeah, I remember, I also saw this movie in the cinema, but I saw it and they were playing the Cantonese version, and it was so baffling to me because I think I forgot that it was Cantonese, because I remember watching the movie back the first time I bought it on DVD or something, and it was in English, by default.
Yeah.
And the first line, the dude yells, is anyone else? And I was like, that sounded wrong. Why that sound wrong? I think this was one of the first movies I ever did repeat viewings in the cinema. I think I saw it 3 times. 3 times in the cinema. And then I remember on one of my old phones quite a few years ago, I found it and I looked on it and I saw some old text messages. And I text some of my friends from school. Shout out James Coleman, Jason Tibbetts, Gareth Whitlock, if you guys ever listen to this. I text you guys hey guys, I just watched Kung Fu Hustle for the 12th time and I can't wait to watch it again. That was the text message I sent these guys. I was really into that movie.
Yeah. I mean, I can see why. I appreciate it way more now because when I first saw it, in fact, every time I've seen it up to now, because it has been such a big gap, I hadn't really got my head into filmmaking yet. I'd done stuff, I'd film stuff on video cameras, but I'd never really looked in depth into what goes into filmmaking.
Yeah.
And now that I'm more aware of how production cycles work, I really appreciate this movie now.
Yeah, there's a lot of crazy good stuff. I think the opening shot of the movie where they're so everybody just freeze. And then we're just going to pan the camera from one room out into the main hall up to the second floor, and which point we're going to frame this thing that says super crime fighters, and we're then going to throw a police officer into that and have him crash down to the ground. Wow.
Yeah.
Damn, the camera work, amazing. Everyone having to stay completely still, awesome. Having to do a stunt scene while getting thrown into... Jesus, guys.
And this is all in the aid of a fake out.
Right?
This is all to establish some people who you assume are going to be the main villains, who then just only exist to get their asses kicked by the actual villains once they exit the building. Right,
yeah. I was going to say, this is the best setup. This is the most awesome jobber setup ever. Oh, wow. Yeah.
Yeah. And, I mean, it was, as soon as they stepped onto the street, that's when I made the comment about how fucking good the production design is.
Yeah.
like, it is phenomenal.
Mm.
The lighting, the
Yeah,
like, and the use of blocking as well. Like, it's all really top notch.
yeah. It's shocking the artistry that's really being displayed on so many levels.
Yeah.
I'm like, wow. There's like a level to it where like clearly everybody knows what they're doing. Like if they wanted, they could make everything look as amazing as they damn well want. But they do stuff like where while killing the first guys literally at the start. I know we've not even done a breakdown, but goddamn, this movie's good. Like the guy throws an axe at like the Croc gang's leader as he's running away, and like it passes through his leg, and then his leg just flies off like fucking Simpson style, where like that guy was kicking the football. And it's like the most cartoony thing ever. But then I thought about it and I'm like, wait a minute. He like falls down onto the nub.
Yeah.
How did they do that? Whoa, like that's really good. Like it looks really hokey, but then like he's crashing on the nub and like he like it looks horrible. Like it's not horrible as in bad, but like Jesus Christ,
Yeah.
imagine having your leg cut off and then falling on the nub. Like
Yeah.
it's so good.
It is really crazy seeing the level of attention to detail right through it. It's like almost every scene will have at least one moment where you're just like, wow, that level of attention to detail that they've done. Even like the smallest details have been paid heavy attention to.
Yeah.
Do you want to do the plot rundown? Because you know this movie like inside out.
Okay, I'll try and do the plot rundown kind of light, because otherwise I'm going to get way too into it. Yeah, so the film Kung Fu Hustle, it starts off, like we were saying, with some gangsters just essentially beating the shit out of the police because they arrested the Crocodile Gang's girlfriend. So, setting them up as, oh, these guys are a big deal because they're just beating the shit out of them and no one is doing anything. Then they walk out into the street and it's deserted.
Yeah.
There's no one around, and like you're saying, it looks freaking amazing. At which point, the Axe Gang shows up in overwhelming numbers. Like,
oh yeah,
for a hit, what are you doing? Why would you do this? This is just beyond a show of force at this point. Like everyone on the street. I'm doing it. I'm getting too far into it. Okay. So they show up to like hit these guys. They assassinate them, and that's when you find out. Okay, this is the Axe Gang, and they're really who run things. Then they go to our actual set of heroes, who are never actually named in the film. Stephen Chow or Sing. I had to do a lot of research to find that out, and this was before the internet. So, and his fat friend, no name, who rock up at a place called Pigsty Alley. Beautiful,
yeah.
Beautiful. And it's got like a little pig on like the on the side. And essentially, they show up there to try and extort some people by pretending to be members of the Axe Gang.
Yeah.
They call their bluff and say, nah, not at all. They think, okay, how about we try and intimidate them some more and pretend to call the Axe Gang. Little do they know, the Axe Gang actually shows up. And in this movie, the gangs, call for reinforcement via fireworks, because I think the film is set in like 1930s, 1940s.
It's never made super clear, but it's very coded in sort of 1930s gangster tropes.
Yeah.
So that'd be my guess.
So obviously they don't got phones, so they launch fireworks. So he throws a firecracker and it blows up on a dude, like head of the Axe Gang, pissing him off. So they're like, right, well, we're basically going to wreck this town. And things just keep getting worse. They try and extort some of the people. When they fight back, they have to call more Axe Gang members. And it creates like a spiral out of control where incredible fight scenes happen, where you discover that the Pigsty Alley has 3 secret like kung fu masters who like defend the town, but this only creates more escalation. In which point they bring back more members to come back. I am super lighting this. These guys are musical masters who essentially can fight with music. It's super, super bizarre. They also get defeated, classically. But during this time, they end up sending Singh, or Stephen Chow's character, to go out again and do some crimes if they want to become actual Axe Gang members.
Yeah.
So in the end, because they suck at committing crimes, because they're just good people, really. Like I think they are capable of actually committing crimes, but they partially just keep screwing it up every time.
Yeah. Maybe
a bit on purpose.
They're basically Bulk and Skull.
Yeah. That's actually a good way of thinking about it. I didn't even think of that.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. They're Bulk and Skull.
I'm just imagining scenes with the Bulk and Skull theme now.
The only big difference is that in Bulk and Skull, the fat one is the leader, whereas with them, the fat one's the stupid one that follows along.
True.
I guess you could also say it's like Laurel and Hardy or any of those classic double acts, but Bulk and Skull in particular, because Bulk and Skull are kind of the baddies, sort of. They're the bullies.
Yeah.
Except not really, because they're constantly getting picked on by the Power Rangers, because the Power Rangers are the real bullies of that story.
Right.
Who are bullying two like mentally challenged kids who think that they're bullies. Anyway, I'll get caught up on the whole thing there.
So yeah, Singh ends up committing a crime. He robs a random sweet lady, which turns out to be someone from his past. He then gets recruited by the Axe Gang, and they're like, finally, you did a crime, you're a member. And his skill is picking locks. So they're like, right, these guys at Pigsty Alley keep beating up everyone that we send to like fuck them up. You need to handle this. Go get the Beast from prison. And the Beast is a super martial artist.
He's a grappler backy like villain.
Oh yeah,
like
crazy. Like I don't know. He could probably throw hands with Yojiro. I don't give a fuck. Like I think Yojiro would struggle.
I think 90% of the people in Pigsty Alley could throw hands with Yojiro. Like, we're on a different level with this movie.
Oh yeah, it's freaking nuts. So yeah, that happens. They bring the Beast to the Axe Gang's headquarters, where they find out that he's like, oh, I don't need money to do assassinations. I'm just so powerful that I just decided, well, seeing as no one can beat me, I'll just stay in prison. So he's like, if you found somebody for me to fight, I'll do it for free. Like, I either want to win or get my ass kicked. That's it.
Yeah.
Which you later find out, not so true. More fights ensue. I don't want to fully spoil it. With some other people who are great. We'll definitely spoil it later on, though. Which we find out that, surprise, surprise, our main character, Singh, is actually a kung fu genius. And now he can fight the Beast. Yeah. It's great. The storyline is like super simple, but there's a lot of cool things going on in there.
Yeah, it's the Yojimbo arc, basically. It's it's a very silly version of the Yojimbo arc. Also, sometimes elements of that arc are kind of in the B plot because this is an ensemble cast, so it kind of changes its focus a lot.
Yeah. I remember the first time watching it, spending quite a bit of time going, so who's the main character? Like the very first time I watched it. But yeah. Like now it's all very clear and it's so good how they handle it. I really, really enjoy it. Yeah, from this point, like I'm gonna say, like, can we spoil the movie? Because
yeah,
like we'll probably go back over it, like basically almost scene by scene. But god damn, this movie's so good. It's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, before we do get into spoilers, of course, massively recommend.
Oh, yeah.
Without a shadow of a doubt, this is absolutely a movie you should watch.
Yeah, this is the movie I forgot that it's basically my favourite movie.
Like I say, if you can,
it is.
Find it with in Cantonese with subtitles.
Oh,
shouldn't be that difficult. That is the theatrical version. But the dub isn't super bad. But seriously, if you can, find it in Cantonese. It's better.
Yeah. Like,
normally, I wouldn't really say much about that. Like, I wouldn't give a shit. But in this instance,
oh yeah,
the cast they use for the dub isn't very good. The voices don't really match.
Yeah, they give really bizarre performances.
Yeah, and some of the humor's kind of lost because of it. Because the performances are at odds with the already over the top acting.
It's so weird. I think it's partly because the story in Kung Fu Hustle, or the acting in Kung Fu Hustle, is over the top and really cheesy hokey. At the same time as being completely sincere. Oh, yeah. So it creates this bizarre, like, well, it's kind of like Sam Raimi's, like, Spider-Man movies.
It's very Sam Raimi. You know what's funny? I didn't make many notes, but the one note I did make was that it's very, the whole thing feels very Sam Raimi. Yeah, this is, I mean, it's even more over the top than Sam Raimi.
Oh, yeah.
But, like, yeah, in that it's cartoonish and over the top, but no one's really winking at the camera either. It's done with this. It's got this real heart and sincerity to it. That
like
it needs. I think.
It's weird because who would have thought someone would be like, "Hey, let's just cross a kung fu movie with the Looney Tunes."
Yeah.
And like we just run with it.
Yeah, because it is absolute Wile E. Coyote logic, like without a doubt. But there's something really fun about that.
Yeah.
It's interesting as well because, like, going right back to the opening scene. The fake out villains are a lot more grounded than what we get later on. Their cruelty is a lot more grounded. Like spilling like boiling water on someone.
Yeah, he kicks a kettle onto some dude.
Yeah, and it's like that's like realistic, and that's not the rest of the movie. So it's kind of like, hey, these are your normal gangsters. They don't stand a chance against cartoon gangsters.
Like, I love that after he throws the axe and cuts off that the crocodile gang's leg, like while he's on the floor, Brother Sum, like, who is the head of the axe gang, is given an axe and begins dancing his way over.
Yes.
Like, he's just like, yeah, this is great, and they play like some kind of song for him, a jazzy beat.
Yeah, it's kind of like up-tempo jazz. Like, it's really like, it's like dance music, and he's like...
He gets up to him, and, like, the crocodile gang leader is just on the ground. He's like, wait, remember that time I bought you dinner? Like, literally right before he just brings the axe down and starts murdering him.
And then, like, he shoots the guy's... He shoots the woman who's like... She, like, begs for her life, and he's like, I don't kill women. And so she starts to walk away, and then he just grabs a shotgun.
Yeah, he gestures. He gestures off scene.
Which,
like,
I think the first time I watched it, I assumed that it'd be like Dennis Hopper in Waterworld. God, that's a weird reference to make. But there's a bit in Waterworld where he's like, you said you wouldn't kill me. He's like, did I say that? Yeah, I may have. Boys. And then one of the other guys kills him. I kind of thought that's the route they go with it. It's like, he doesn't kill women, but his men do. No, he was just lying.
Yeah, just straight up. He just gets a shotgun and blasts her in the back. You're like, Jesus. Like, I really like, because it's very obviously hinted at. Ha.
This is a movie full of subtlety.
Yeah, like, the next scene... is the guy yelling, I almost tried to say it in Cantonese, he's like, hey cops, come out and clean up the mess. And you see like the police chief, he's inside and he's sweating and he's like wiping sweat off his brow while counting up stacks of money. So they were bought off. Yeah. Literally implying, they arrested the crocodile gang's girlfriend like on purpose. This was all a setup.
Yeah.
Oh, so
Which is,
cool.
by the way, the most insane hit. Like, they send like 4,000 guys to kill like 4 people.
Right? Like, imagine being stood in like, Times Square and then it's just empty. Then you notice it's completely full, except everyone there is a gangster.
Well, it's like, it's great the way it's revealed as well, because it's just like they go to walk down the street and the street is just full of them. So they turn around and well, you see before they do, but like the other side of the street is also full of people. Yep. Then they turn, and the third way in the three-way crossway is also full of guys.
Yeah, like, you're like, what?
And these are, like, wide-ass roads.
Yeah, it's like, hey, wait, you guys are at a crossroads, and all four of these roads have got, like, gangsters in it, and some of them got gangsters who came in cars there, and you're like, Jesus.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah.
And, of course, this is all to establish, really, how insanely outmatched even these guys are.
Yeah.
Because the second they get to Pigsty Alley, they're just inept.
Yeah.
They have nothing.
They get bodied. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I freaking love that.
They also, at Pigsty, like, there's also a second kind of fake out within Pigsty Alley where they kind of twice try and make you think this one guy is going to be the hero.
Oh, yeah, because that's where... was it singing the fat guy show up?
Yeah.
Like, and well, they do a nod to Shaolin soccer by having a CGI football where he's doing tricks, and the kid's like, "Can you teach us?" He's like, "No more soccer," because I guess he was like, "I'm sick of doing soccer references." So
I also really like Shaolin soccer, by the way.
Oh
it's
yeah,
really
like
movie.
We'll have to do that at some point.
Yeah, without a doubt.
We can watch that one dubbed though, because I think the cast do the voices.
Yeah, that's fine. And also, we haven't, Peter, we haven't forgotten. We are going to do Stakeland.
Yes, this would have been Stakeland.
This would have been Stakeland, but apparently there's like another Stakeland, and Amazon Prime had both, and I didn't know which one to buy. So I'm going to double check first, and then we'll do that.
Yes.
So that's why we're doing this today.
Surprise. Coming up next, Stakeland.
Yeah.
Yeah, like when they get to Pigsty Alley, there's so much, man. Like, I'm just gonna say, man, this is gonna probably be a little while. Like, man, the soundtrack is amazing.
Oh, it's bomb. It is absolutely
my God.
bomb. The mixture of different genres and styles, where they'll take like this traditional kung fu movie sort of soundtrack, but then mix it with like up-tempo jazz, with swing, with like with the sort of soundtrack you'd expect probably really for a gangster movie.
Yeah.
And that they just marry the two in this really cool way that doesn't ever feel... At no point does the soundtrack feel like it doesn't belong in the movie. But it's also really bombastic and loud and kind of crazy, because the movie is bombastic, loud, and kind of crazy.
Yeah. Like that opening for Pigsty Alley, people, even if you've not seen this movie, if you're in the UK, you will probably know the song because they used it for the Lloyd's THBC. I don't remember that. Lloyd's TSB. Lloyd's TSB advertisements. One advert was where the guy would go, "In Guilin, China, fishermen do something, blah, 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 blah." And it starts with the music from Pigsty Alley. Like, the song is called, like, the East Fisherman Sea or something like that. It's so good. I'm like, yeah, I see why they chose this. It's amazing.
Can I just ask why you chose to do a George Takei voice for that that moment? That was, like, through and through George Takei.
That's how that guy said it. He's like, instead of saying gay, just say... Decay. George Takei's a pretty cool guy. Yeah, sorry, I'm literally just establishing freaking Paris, the landlord, who is just Master Roshi.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's just like a lecherous man who like rocks around like his tenancy. I just realised he's a landlord. I don't hate him.
Damn.
I know.
This movie's defeated us. Yeah, no, he's yeah, you're right about the Master Roshi thing. That's absolutely a perfect comparison.
Yeah.
He's kind of, he's not like a bad guy, but he's kind of lechy and kind of gross.
Yeah. Like, he's like hanging around the women's bathroom, and
it didn't age as bad as I thought it would have done, honestly. Like, because it's not it's only ever treated like he's a bad guy. It's
Yeah.
not like the characters aren't like winking and smiling at him. You know what I mean? It's like
everyone kind of is like, yeah, you're kind of a piece of shit for doing this. I love when he goes to see the tailor, and while he's in there, he tricks a girl who wouldn't be considered traditionally attractive, especially in like Chinese standards, I think, because they often, one thing I noticed is they really do choose like the most beautiful women all the time. Like, I remember as a very young person, I didn't think there were like regular Chinese people, like, or Chinese women at least.
Yeah.
Like, which might also partly be part of Western weird like fetishization.
But it happens within their media.
But yeah, it definitely does happen within their media. I think there was a case of like a Chinese girl singing a song, but then they're like, actually, you're not attractive enough. She was a child as well, so they got a different child to like pretend to sing, and like the actual singer was behind the curtain.
As well. That happens in the West as well. The woman that sings on what's that Meatloaf track? I Would Do Anything for Love. Not the woman in the video.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
Wow, that's trash.
It was a British woman that actually did the singing.
Shit.
Because she went on an episode of The Voice because she had like no career afterwards because she was just just a session singer.
Yeah.
And yeah, but because Michael Bay directed that video actually, and he got a model to lip sync.
Fucking world is trash, man. So he's always shown as being a bad guy, Paris is, but what was it? I like the fact that he tricks Jane into kissing him by just being like, "Hey, look, a comet." You're inside, like, and she totally falls for it, like.
Again, there's a very cartoony sort of logic running through the whole thing.
Yeah.
I'd say that about how she looks as well, because that almost feels like the way that she looks is almost like, you know, like when a little kid puts on like their mum's makeup. That's kind of how she looks. It's because I don't actually think she's. I actually probably think she's probably quite a pretty actress.
Yeah, same.
They've intentionally gone really overblown with how she looks. Like, she was really like over vibrant lipstick, and her lips are overlined as well. Yes, I recognise stuff like that. I used to go out with a makeup artist. So like, like the makeup's really
the colour choice is awful. Why would you choose such a vibrant pink?
Yeah. It's all designed to be really, really over the top. And
what she's wearing, like, this is why I'm like, the show is so good. Like, what is she wearing? Why is she wearing this frilly nightgown-esque? Like,
it's ridiculous.
Like, and like, it almost like all of the side characters could be their own characters, which is why it's kind of Sam Raimi-ish.
Yeah, Sam Raimi always does that.
I don't know if you saw online, but I saw a thing that was like, the new Spider-Man movie, new contract agreed for guy that said, "Damn, he stole that guy's pizzas." like what? Like, people are like, "Yeah, bring that guy back." Like, this movie's gonna be fucking.
I'm not gonna lie. I'm actually kind of hype about that.
Why would they? Like, okay, I ain't saying nothing wrong.
I always appreciate that when you have characters who they don't need to be a real character. There's no function in them being a real character, but they put that effort in anyway. I always like that. I always appreciate it. Yeah.
Like, it feels like, hey, I bet there's like some side stories. Like, I find myself going, I wonder what happened to Jane. And, you know, that guy with the long hair and glasses who in one scene is just trying to hit a fly in his flat and he starts breaking everything. Like, it's so great. Just these just tiny little character moments where it's like, yeah, this person's now fleshed out. And I was like, what happened? Like, they all had to leave at the end of the movie.
Yeah.
So, like, where'd they all go? Like, are they okay?
Yeah. It's, definitely something I appreciate. Like, but that goes back into that attention to detail element. One thing you sort of picked up on that you didn't before, I noticed, was the musicians that attack. that they have long nails that they attack with.
Yeah.
Because they finger pluck a harp.
Yeah.
So they would have long nails.
Like, I can't believe that I after all those times, I just saw it and was like, yeah, you know, guy's got claws, isn't it? Like, that was literally it. And I was like, wait, they have long nails because they're harpists. I don't know if that's how you say people who play harps.
Yeah.
Because they're harpists. Yeah. This makes so much sense.
I also know that that's not actually called a harp, but I think it's an Urdu, but I'm not 100% because I'm by no means an expert on Chinese instruments, so I could be wrong and an Urdu might be something different.
Max was thinking of Urdu, not Urdu. It isn't an Urdu either, it is a Guchang. Max is stupid. Max should stop pretending to be a musician and go and live in the woods like the Unabomber.
The whole reason why I suggested watching this movie is because I was online and randomly came across some dude reacting to that fight scene.
Oh, wow.
Like, yeah, so obviously there's, 4 major fights in the movie, and this is, the second one?
Yeah.
There's, a couple of other little scraps and stuff but this fight is so creative. It's weird because I think part of Kung Fu Hustle, I'm guessing these guys have all done martial arts at some point.
I would imagine so.
I think everyone in the cast probably has done a little bit, but most people, I would say probably 70, 80%, either aren't really that good or they're way past their prime, so they can kind of do some bits, but, they just haven't really got it anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And you can't tell. After all the successive watches I've had, it's only kind of dawning on me they're just tricking a lot of these shots because the people are older.
Again, this is where watching the film after sort of becoming more aware of how film productions actually go, it becomes a lot more impressive.
Yeah, I think the guy who is probably the most martial arts adept currently was probably the guy who was a coolie. He fights with the 12 kick style. He looked like he was probably the youngest in the most of his prime. His physique was quite good. And he does the most acrobatic stuff. He does jumping splits kicks.
That's the first major fight.
Yeah. In the first major fight, which is one of my favorite fights of all time.
And the tailor guy who comes out, who's the tailor is, he toes the line where it's very nearly offensive most of the time, but I don't feel like it ever crosses it. It always feels because he's very camp.
Yeah, he's ultra camp. He's Asian camp. There's a definite.
He's one step away from hard gay.
Yeah, right. Yeah. But it's weird because everyone else is so hyper overplayed, and essentially that makes them kind of camp anyway.
Yeah, it just feels like it's fitting in with the cartoon logic of the rest of the movie.
Yeah, it doesn't feel God, horribly offensive. I don't know, maybe that's because we've got a Western perspective. Maybe if we were from China, we might be that's just the standard. There's nothing played up about it.
It's entirely possible.
I doubt it.
But I doubt it, given how... when he's flailing his arms and running away...
he flails just like Jane does.
Yeah. It's literally acted the exact same way. But he jumps into the fight.
Oh, yeah.
And it's fucking hardcore.
Yeah, no one treats him bad. The only person who treats him meanly is the landlady.
The landlady.
And she treats everyone bad.
Yeah.
Her name's Helen. Helen treats everyone like shit. So, it's not a gay thing. It's just that she's mean to everyone.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I was like, oh shit, this is...
Yeah, well, because she's the sort of... because everyone is kind of stereotypical, and she is the Asian matriarch. She's the...
Yeah. I kind of wished I could have prepped for this movie a bit more, because super nerd, but from when I was major into this movie, I did watch the makings of, and I believe one of the stories was how she was cast. Like,
oh yeah.
Heard
about this.
Yeah, apparently she came with one of the actresses. Now I'm not sure if it was for Jane, or if it's the mute girl who is from Sing's past. And basically, she was just sat like waiting for her audition to finish, and while she was sat there, she was just sat like regular dress, like not amazing, frumpy, I guess, and had like a cigarette just kind of hanging in her mouth, like, which is very Asian. Like in Asia, I don't know, I don't see British people do this where they'll just smoke a cigarette without hands.
Yeah,
like, they'll just let it sit in the mouth to smoke.
You see it in a lot of Japanese people doing it. It's very common.
Yeah, they just saw her doing that, and Stephen Chow was like, "Yeah, that's exactly what I was looking for. Like, you're hired."
It has got to be said. There is something about her with like the dressing gown, her hair, or
wearing the rollers.
Yeah, with the rollers in, and with the fag hanging out of her mouth, and it's kind of iconic. It's like, it's what I think of when I think of the film. Like, if you were to say, like, think of a single image of the movie, that's what pops into my head, because it's such an iconic sort of look.
Yeah.
Because it is that the stereotypical Asian matriarch, but at the same time, it's kind of like, hey, what if this was just a badass martial art expert? And they sell it just from how she looks.
Yeah, right?
Which I guess they'd need to, because otherwise, even in a cartoon thing, you'd never buy it. But she actually, it's not just the case of like her doing martial arts is funny. It's that it's like kind of badass.
Like, like for a person who from when I was looking at it, I was like, I don't think she really does any real fighting. Like maybe a couple of scenes.
I think it's like, mostly all either special effects based stuff or it's all edited around. Yeah,
like I at no point am I like, yeah, I don't believe she could kick my ass. Like the whole time in the movie, I'm like, yeah, she's like a badass. Like I think they got her to do like a couple of trick things, like what was it, the get up that they do off the ground, like at one point. It's so good, like.
And also, like, I mean, they get her to do the Bruce Lee thing, the Bruce Lee intimidation thing.
Yeah,
and you buy it.
Yeah, like it's like, holy crap, man! Like for me, I know Bruce is amazing, but like, she's who I think of. Like if I had to like clip that scene and be like, yeah, you're going to show someone who's intimidating someone, like. I would link that. I'll be like, that's like, the gift.
It's like when Johnny Cash covered Her. Like, she owns that. That's hers.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Imagine if Bruce Lee was still alive and was like, no, that's hers now.
Like, he's there at the end of the movie, like, where he, like, gets to his knees and he's just like, Master! He's just like, it's yours. You mastered it.
Yeah, it is absolutely great. Like her performance, her look, everything. Like, I mean, the thing is though, you can say that about basically everyone in the movie.
Everyone absolutely nails it. Like, I think the one person who I could be like, maybe didn't like blow my mind, one character, and that was the girl from like his past. And that's because she's not really supposed to be that kind of character. She's supposed to be a grounded character.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
Like, she's like, hey, I'm just a real person who's trying to make it through life selling sweets.
Yeah.
And then I got robbed.
And then he put her out of business by opening up a sweet shop at the end.
Yeah. The new headcanon is, off the money that he stole from her, he somehow managed to find connections to invest in like a property and get all the stock. And you're like, haha, and now I put you out of business. That's the end of the movie. Like, he's just like, surprise, I'm actually a capitalist.
He's like Michael Keaton in The Founder. He's like just stood there with his new McDonald's that's opened up opposite the original restaurant. Like, fuck you guys. It's called a hostile environment, bitch. I'm taking over.
It's like, what's your little street cart gonna do against this? The guy's got marketing and everything.
Hey, but if you want to get out of it, you can always take a job. Minimum wage.
She's like, how about? Yeah, like, he's like, I'll buy your streetcar, like, and then you can work for me. Like, so she's doing the same job, just getting less money for it. Like,
just completely reframing it.
Like, it's like this really sweet ending, and we're like, yeah, so he's just fucking her over, like, he's an asshole. Like, this whole movie, he was just a bad guy the whole time. He's like, I learned nothing. So the fight scenes are really good.
Yeah.
Like, love how we just spiraled out. Like,
Yeah.
so, this is what I mean. This movie is just so good. There's so much to talk about. God, though, like, I remember that first fight scene. I had it, like, on my, I had a Motorola phone, and it was, like, one of the early camera phones. It could take, like, 30 seconds of video or something. I recorded that whole fight scene on my flip phone, like, piece by piece, and I would watch it back. I named all of them so I could literally, like, click to the next one and press play, like, with, like, the weird juttery, like, stops in between. God, it was so good.
The making do.
That was amazing at the time.
What you had to do, man. Like, it's just...
Like, yeah, look, I ain't gonna lie. I have an actual problem with this movie. Like, because there was a bit of time where I was like, do you think if I deleted everything off of that phone, I would be able to just record the entire movie and have it on my phone? Like, there was genuinely a thought, like, I could try and do it. In the end, I settled for just having that fight. But, like, I own this movie, like, 3 times. I have it on DVD. I have it on Blu-ray.
Blu-ray looks great, by the way.
Oh, yeah. Like, you'd think this film was intended to be like a Blu-ray movie. Like, it's really good.
Yeah.
But I also have this movie on UMD.
Wow.
Yeah. Like, so I can watch it on my PSP. Yep. Like, I was like, well, this is a dead format. I'll buy it.
Wait. You got it after? Like...
Yeah. Yeah. I was like, whoa. I remember I went into Game Station and I remember seeing... No, I worked at Game Station and I just remember seeing... I was like, whoa. There's a UMD of, like, freaking Kung Fu Hustle. I've got a PSP I don't really use that much anymore. Yeah! I'll buy this. Like, it was already a dead medium. And I was like, yeah, man. I watched it on my PSP.
That's so much funnier. I assumed you got it, when that was still, like...
Nope. It was
amazing.
like £3. And I was like, oh no, I have to own it. Like, I'll own it on UMD.
Real question, real honest question. If you happened to come across a Laserdisc...
Oh, mate, I would buy it.
I mean, to be fair, it would be cool to own on Laserdisc because you could have that big box. Like, you know, the big, like, record sleeve style box art, so...
Mate, I would be all over it.
Oh, they're talking of records. If I might look up to see if you can get the soundtrack for this, because...
It's really good, yeah.
Like, I forgot that about this, to be honest.
Yeah, like, I think it won
awards.
I can't say which awards. I believe there are awards in China, not in the rest of the international market.
It would make sense because this film isn't particularly it didn't get what you call critical acclaim in this country.
Yeah, it got like
in the West.
Well, it was well reviewed. Like it was. It just seemed to be like a bit of a sleeper. Like I think it did well. It just isn't in the public zeitgeist. There we go. That's the word.
It's a weird sort of movie, and particularly for Westerners, but like it's almost weird that this got a widespread theatrical release.
Yeah. I do think that, like,
because I'm thinking, like, if I was trying to put my head in the mindset of like a stuffy
Hollywood
distributor executive, like I don't think I would. That would be something I would put money into. Yeah, I'd go, no, we wouldn't get returns on it. It's too weird.
Like, I kind of half imagine like there was a guy who was like, what, some weird Chinese kung fu movie. I don't know, really. And then I kind of imagine that he just watched the movie and then was in hysterics going, I don't know what's happening. But
yeah.
yeah.
See, the thing is, though, it's also a case of, though, and this is what I find particularly weird, is I think this is a hard film to sell to people. Like, verbally.
Yeah.
And I know this because the first time I was recommended this movie, I was told by somebody that it was like Kung Pao.
Yeah.
Now, other than the fact that it merges martial arts and comedy, this is nothing like Kung Pao.
Yeah.
Although, weirdly, I did watch them in a little back-to-back thing with you and some friends when we were back in college. No, this is nothing like that. This is comedy and martial arts. Although I would say, like, Kung Pao is just mostly a comedy that uses some martial arts elements, mostly from old Kung Fu movies.
Yeah.
This is a legitimate martial arts movie that is very funny. If I would compare it more to anything, it would be like an ultra cartoony Jackie Chan movie.
Yeah.
Like,
I was thinking the closest I can say is it's a Jackie Chan movie except more cartoony.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah. Well, Jackie Chan is still subject to the laws of physics. It takes the cartoony element and applies that to even just basic logic of movement and things like that. But the way in which comedy blends with martial arts, I would say, is much more comparable to like an early Jackie Chan film.
Yeah.
Maybe not super early, but like at the height of his Hong Kong phase before he moved to America.
Speaking of Jackie Chan, like I forgot Taylor, the guy who's the tailor, who's the stereotypically gay guy. He is in Jackie Chan's Snake in the Eagle Shadow.
Is he?
Yeah. He plays a dude, like, who's doing a martial art, like, he's doing, like, a martial arts expo, and he's got, like, metal braces on his arm. Yeah. Go back and watch that movie, and he's doing the exact same martial art that he does in Kung Fu Hustle.
Oh, that guy?
Yeah, it's him.
Oh, what the fuck?
Yeah, this is what I mean by, like, the people in it, they're either, like, martial artists, or maybe they're a little bit out of their prime martial artists. Because, yeah.
Wow, I've seen Snake in the Eagle Shadow that many times.
What's his name? You know The Beast?
Yeah.
He was one of the people who was supposed to be, like, if I'm remembering rightly, he was supposed to be one of the Bruce Lee replacements. He was one of those guys. People were pushing him. He was kind of big. I can't think of any movie that he's in.
Hang on. I'm trying to picture him younger, and I have a feeling I think I do know who that is.
Like
I'm kind of trying to go back in my head, and actually, now I'm thinking about it, his face actually looks quite familiar.
He is actually quite a big name in the Kung Fu world.
Max was thinking of a completely different guy, but it turns out Bruce Lee played the ghost of Bruce Lee in classic Bruce-exploitation film, The Dragon Lives Again, which Max used to own on DVD as a child. Max is stupid. Max should stop pretending to be a fan of semi-obscure martial arts movies and go and live in the woods like the Unabomber.
Which is cool. Like, he's like, yeah, we're going to get you in. I know we're all over the place, but God damn this movie. So many factoids. Like, there's a section in the scene that I freaking love. I won't go into it too hard. Where they're like testing the beast's powers, basically. They're like, how good is he really? And what he does is, after like showing them that, you know, he can catch bullets, he walks over to a wall and then lifts his leg like right up into the air to do an axe kick and destroy the wall ahead of him without kicking it, like just a sheer force. So badass. But like I remember checking it out, and they was like, oh yeah, when I believe there was an interview with him, and he's like, when I was younger, I could have actually done it, but you know, old man now, so like inactivity has binded my hips, so like he couldn't do it, so they CG'd it, and the CG looked good.
Yeah, that's actually a thing in general. Like the CG, when it's supposed to be cartoony, it doesn't look real, but there are other times when it's blended perfectly.
Yeah, yeah.
Like I noticed, there's a bit right near the end when the mute girl picks up at the lollipop that has been smashed by Stephen Chow's character.
Yes, yeah.
What's it?
Sing.
Sing. It's not said in the movie.
I know.
But yeah, she picks it up and it like collapses. And it was only in like the last maybe like couple of frames that I noticed that the lollipop was CG.
Hey.
And that I have like much more of a keen eye than most people, I think, for that sort of thing. Because I watch a lot of movies and I'm very analytical about how I watch them. So that's really good. And that's harsh light as well.
Yeah. Like,
so yeah, I think
I remember like when you said that, I was like, you're an idiot, Levi. All these years. I thought that it actually was I was like, man, that's amazing. Do you think like they pieced it together with like some type of thing and then they like knocked her arm but like didn't make it look like it got knocked so that it would fall? Like I genuinely was like, how did they do that practically? Of course it was CG.
Yeah. But I think because there's the really cartoony CG, your eyes aren't gonna pick up on a lot of the more
where it's meant to look more believable.
Yeah, when it's actually properly done.
Like there's a scene, of course it's CG because you know the beast puts a gun to his head and pulls the trigger. And after watching it so many times, I can see now that it's like two composited scenes, but it looks so good. Although I love it, like he says this the perfect phrase, "Wi-Fi bubble," which because of Mike Tyson being in like Ip Man 3, and he's like Wi-Fi bubble, and this is like that just became a meme like. Wi-Fi is unbreakable. Like the phrase is meant to mean speed is unbreakable, but because Mike Tyson can't say it, it just means Wi-Fi unbreakable. So now, if you ever come across any great Wi-Fi, remember Wi-Fi Bappo. It's the best meme ever.
Classic.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. Like,
trying to think of stuff we haven't covered yet.
Okay, the music fight, the one that I started talking about ages ago and got into like now.
Let's track right back to that. God, we really are all over the place.
Yeah, I'm super sorry. I love the movie too much to even maintain a consistent stream of thought.
To be honest, this is about as disjointed as Coffee. Like,
nah, Coffee was way more structured.
It might have been actually. I don't know. I remember we talked about Men in Black for a bit. Anyway.
The decision to have a music fight because your actors aren't really super martial artists anymore. So good. Wow. Like, I don't know how much they got a guy, he's a cook, his name is Donut. How much of Donut is a still like legitimate. God damn, his like forms with like spears really good.
Yeah.
Seeing as it's all CG, he's just like essentially doing a cutter. Damn, does it look good.
Yeah. It's got to be said as well, like working on that with the composite in mind actually is got to be really difficult. Like
there's so many mini details that come together as the musicians play and they're shooting out invisible swords from the instruments.
Yeah.
They scar the ground. You see the ground getting scarred up as it moves towards where like Donut is, striking the swords away from him. It's so awesome.
Yeah.
Like, and the music they play, how you can hear, each time they attack, they strike on the
on the strings.
On the strings. It sounds amazing.
Yeah, especially because it's like it's not like it's a chord, so it's this kind of discordant.
Yeah.
It's like if you was to strum a guitar open. It's kind of gnarly and atonal.
Yeah, yeah.
But because the rest of the notes they're hitting are totally, they're playing a melody. So that discordant note, it hits really hard in a really cool way.
Yeah, yeah.
It's I love when soundtracks get that well integrated into like a scene, and you can't really get more integrated than that.
Yeah,
because
like
it's literally diegetic.
Yeah, dude is literally fighting with their music.
Yeah, but what's also crazy is it's not like that's the only instrument you're hearing. You are hearing little other like textures and sounds going on.
Yeah,
it's so the score is matching the instruments being played. It's very well done.
Really, really good.
Also, clearly influenced the Battle of the Bands and Scott Pilgrim.
Yeah.
This amp versus amp scene.
Yeah.
Which I didn't even register. When, like, I've seen Scott Pilgrim a few times, and it never registered until now. Like rewatching Kung Fu Hustle, and it's like, and like, let's be real, there is no way on earth pretty much everyone involved in Scott Pilgrim wasn't fully aware of Kung Fu Hustle. That's
right? Like you're making in fact, yeah, Scott Pilgrim's probably the next closest movie tonally to Kung Fu Hustle. Actually,
well, it's the Jackie Chan style of sort of comedy mixed with fight scenes, but with that super cartoony ignoring of actual logic.
Like some certain rules.
Yeah,
like I love when Paris is caught kissing or getting kissed by Jane. So like his wife just kicks him out the window.
By the way they use blocking to reveal the lipstick on his cheek is so good.
It's awesome. You just can't see, and then he's like yelling at like the woman, and his head turns slightly, and he's like, "Oh, we can see it," and like her demeanor just slightly changes, like as we see.
Yeah. And then the next thing, he's being thrown out the window.
He's just getting beat up. Like she throws him to the ground in like their bedroom, and she just beating the shit out of him, and then like throws him out the window.
Yeah, it's like, really, really well done.
I really enjoy as well the fact that their relationship is super dysfunctional because they're like fighting all the time, but then you find out like, surprise, they're actually kung fu masters. So this isn't actually even them really fighting. It's like, wait, what? Like. So what? These guys are actually just a crazy power couple? Like, they like team up and beat the shit out of some guy? Yeah, it's so good.
It is. It really, like, you know what? I never gave this movie the credit it needed, clearly, but like I say, it's that, just knowing, okay, I'm going to use one example, I'm going to skip right to near the end. After Singh has revealed his true martial arts ability, after he stopped just using 1% of his power, he comes out and just basically tears his way through the Axe Gang and approaches the Beast. And the Beast has this single bead of sweat running down from his head, and he's kind of trying to play it cool, but, we know. Just knowing from a production standpoint, knowing that a makeup artist had to come in, apply that. They're in a narrow corridor, so probably all the actors would have had to have moved. So the makeup artist could have come in, applied that, they'd gone in. I think they probably would have had to even be very particular about what lens they used to really pick that up. Yeah. And be careful about lighting and things like that, so it sells it. That is, for what, like, 5 seconds?
Yeah, like trying to, because as well they hold on frame, and then that bead of sweat literally it travels more or less from the perfect position down his face.
Yeah.
And to set that up is a real ball ache.
Well, yeah, because like, you need to get everyone out of the way.
Yep.
Ready to shoot. Again, it's in a narrow corridor, so just getting someone in and out.
Oh yeah, because they built that set. Like Pigsty Alley is a constructed location. Yeah, purpose built. There we go. So when they're up on that balcony, they're like up on that balcony, man.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So to do that, I'm assuming what they would have had to have done would have be one of the makeup artists in the room, in one of the rooms. Have them come out of the room, apply it, run back into the room.
Yeah.
Ready to very quickly
be rolling. And it's not like, oh yeah, they just show that sweat bead. No, they show the sweat bead and that then moves into an actual action segment. So it's not like cut. Like
no.
he gets punched from that scene, if I remember rightly.
Yeah.
So, like, there's actually stuff that's happening. It's not just, oh yeah, just stand there, let the bead of sweat roll down. No, he has to let the bead of sweat roll down, say a line, then get punched in the face.
Yeah. This is what I mean about when you start to really think about the production cycle, that you really gain a newfound appreciation for this. Because, like I say, something tiny like that, tiny little detail, just to give it a little more character.
Yeah.
Everything, you could not have it, and the film would functionally be the same. But it's just that little extra.
Yeah,
just that little extra is a ton more effort.
Like I really like how the Beast literally has more or less no real character, like speeches or anything like that to understand his motivation. Like, he gives some motivation, but it's also then kind of revealed through his actions to be kind of bullshit.
Yeah, because he uses trickery to win.
Yeah, because he's like...
Twice.
Yeah, I only want to beat people or be beaten, by a worthy opponent.
But he's also perfectly willing to cheat.
Yeah, like, in 2 occasions, he's in a position where he would essentially lose, and he says, I give up. And then, freaking Tao Pai Pai throws a grenade at him. He just pulls out, like, his weird lily daggers. It's got, like, lilies that shoot daggers. Yeah. Totally bizarre. But, so good. It happens twice, and I like the fact that it's a bit like, so what do you want, really? Because clearly it's not to lose. Like, you say you're like, yeah, I'm fine with losing as long as I get a great fight out of it. But as soon as you start losing, you're like, I'll cheat. I'll do whatever it takes to win. Which makes
it feel more like his goal is to be seen as the best. It's to seem like he's the best, which is a big difference between, like, him and really any of the good guys. Is the good guys aren't fighting for honor or for their name. Yeah, they're just fighting because, they don't want this shit to keep happening.
Yeah, like, I was saying to you when we watched the movie back, about the Pigsty 3 warriors. You have, like, Cooley, who, like, he like basically carries stuff around. Cooley's a profession, which I think only really exists in Asia, I think. The tailor, who's called Taylor, and the cook, who's a donut. And
because apparently this movie, the names were named by me, because everyone's name is just their function in the script.
Right.
It's what I do.
Except Dogateer. He well, I know, wait, no. He was eating a dog, right?
He owns a restaurant that sells dog.
Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't come up, that was Nathan came up with that, but
I love Dogateer. It's so good. So yeah, everyone's got, like, these super simple names, but I love the fact that, like, after they expose themselves as martial arts masters and beat the shit out of the Axe Gang, they're like, yeah, we have to leave. For some reason, they're not like, oh yeah, let's all just go together and we'll, like, team up. No, they're just like, well, we should all go pack. Would have been nice to, like, spar though, and, like, there's that kind of wink, wink, nudge, nudge, which. Something I really like the idea of is a secret, like, kung fu or martial arts masters. Hey, did you know that the cook down the street, yeah, he does, like, martial arts and he can, like, beat the shit out of everyone.
Yeah.
It's cool as well because their careers are low-key where their martial arts style is from.
Yeah, like the tailor... He has the rings on his arm, but the rings are what he used to hold up the clothes.
Yeah, so, like, the whole time he's been, like, sneaking his weapons around with him. Like, he hooks his rings onto, like, the railing and then puts
Yeah.
the dresses on the rings. And then when a fight breaks out, he throws a tape measure up onto the railing, snaps them off, and then catches the rings onto his arms.
By the way, nice little rare actual subtle moment in the movie is earlier on when the Axe Gang are first invading, you see him look up at his rails.
Yeah.
And, but then kind of go back to cowering. So it's like,
Yeah.
you don't know yet. The audience, you don't know.
Yeah.
Why he, you're just assuming he's kind of looking around panicked. But then afterwards, it's like, oh, he was considering like...
Yeah, he's like, should I step in and do something?
Yeah.
Maybe I won't. Like, yeah, I absolutely love that. Like, it's so good. Like, again, it's these little minor details. Like, oh, he learned that, but he wanted to keep his weapon with him.
Yeah.
So he's got that. You've got, what was it, the cook. He makes noodles with, like, a weird long pole. I don't know how noodle making works.
Yeah.
But he uses that as like his bow staff. Cooley, he's got like his fighting style is about kicking. So what does he do? He's like lifting heavy stuff. He's doing squats all the time.
Yeah, you also see him like kick a bag of like of grain or something or rice onto his back, like from the ground.
Yeah,
because he's got a bunch already on his back. One sort of falls off, and then he picks it up with his foot, and then like uses his foot to toss it back up.
One guy's
like,
"Oh, do you need help getting that?" And he's like, "Nah, I got it." Like,
yeah,
like oh,
which sort of ties into the sort of Bruce Lee, like you're always training thing as well. Like everything you do is part of your training.
Yeah, like damn, that's what's so good.
Yeah, it's really cool how they kind of they let you in on it a little bit early on, without really letting you in on it. It's like I say, it's weird. There is subtlety in the movie, kind of, but it's you wouldn't think of. You know, it's the last word you'd use, but actually, it is all in there. It's just planting it. It's planting that seed.
Exactly. Like I think that's probably why the movie is so fun on repeat watch throughs. Yeah, because as time goes on, you're like, oh, I noticed something else about this. Yeah, I didn't know they did that. Or that shot's quite good. Or blah, blah, blah. What's going on there? Like, yeah, that's one reason why I really like it. Yeah, like, I know this has been somewhat all over the place.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. Let's talk about Frog Style.
Oh, shit.
I've got some shit to say about Frog Style because that ties in perfectly, actually, as well.
Frog Style
is that there's some planting and payoff there as well.
Yeah,
there's some.
Oh, I forgot about one. I love the that sequence in the insane asylum. Like I remember genuinely feeling a bit tense, like a little bit on edge, like while he's running around and like he's looking into like some of the cells and hears like some weird noises, and then an arm like juts out and grabs his bag from him, which is like, why did you take that whole bag if you just needed a tiny little wire? But like he's running through, and then he gets to like the ultimate corridor, like where he's gonna find the beast, and there's just like toads. Yeah, just toads around. Like, what? Why? Like, okay, like poor living conditions. Yeah, and I think this is really well, and I don't know, maybe it's because I haven't actually seen The Shining, so I feel way more confident to say this.
Levi, you have seen The Shining because you watched it at my flat. I think you did fall asleep during it though because it was quite late at night. But you definitely at least seen some of The Shining.
Like I always feel like I just kind of saw the movie.
Yeah, like, we watched it.
Like I'm pretty sure, like at a certain point, I sat down and actually watched it as well at my house. Like I remember seeing it on the IMAX screen. So I feel like I have seen it. Yeah. But like I always go like, I don't remember this movie. But okay. So I maybe I'm not as connected, but like how
the blood corridor.
Oh yeah, like literally like how the landlady, like Bruce Lee gave that scene away to her. Yeah, I think
This actually does it better than The Shining.
Yeah.
I kind of said this while we were watching because The Shining has like a big giveaway during the blood elevator scene that it is a miniature set, and that is that the second the blood hits there's like a sofa, and the second the blood hits it, it just immediately starts floating away, which would never happen, right? Because like sofas have weight to them, which kind of gives it away that it's like probably made of like cardboard or polystyrene or something, and it just floats.
Yeah.
There's nothing like that in this, which makes it way easier to hide how they did it.
Yeah. Which you could tell because I'm like super lucky. I saw that scene and was like, I wonder how they did that. Did they just like get that whole room just full of liquid? That was probably kind of expensive. Like, of course they didn't. Like,
yeah.
Absolutely love that scene. I also like it because this is why I think it kind of takes The Shining. I know The Shining was kind of like people died in this house, but it was like, it was probably not that many. Whereas The Beast is like, I'm literally this untouchable killing machine. I can fucking kill anyone I want. Hordes of people, I can walk through them. It's fine.
Yeah.
So I kind of half see that as, no, Singh was kind of getting a sense for, this is how many people he's actually killed.
Yeah.
So that's what, for me, I'm like, it's just better than The Shining for me. I know most people will probably be like, no, man, The Shining. I'm like, shut the hell up.
I mean, The Shining's a really good movie, but to be honest, I prefer Country Hustle over The Shining. Like, I mean, I don't dislike The Shining. The Shining's a good movie. It's good. It's good. It's a good movie. Not necessarily worth completely actually torturing his cast.
Yeah.
Particularly Shelley Duvall, who he straight up tortured for the entire run of the movie in order to get a genuine scared performance out of her. And I'm not all for that. Oh yeah, what I was going to say is about the the toad-style, frog-style.
Yeah.
Like I say, it's revealed in this kind of cool way because you have no idea what it could possibly be revealing. And then this also ticks a big box for me because I am like a big fan of just the idea of someone being so adept at martial arts that it actually changes their physical form. Like, this is just, it's a thing I really like.
Yeah.
I like it. It's one thing I really love about, like, Dragon Ball Z. It's something I like in Rikio, The Story of Ricky, which we're totally going to do at some point, because I love that movie. I don't know why. It's just... I think it's the absurdity of it. It's the idea of, like, you just get so good at fighting that, like, your body can't contain your fighting ability anymore, so it has to physically change in order to accommodate it.
Yeah. Yep. Like, where he just, like, hops on the ground, and then he can, like, actually frog croak.
Yeah,
like,
well, his whole, like, his neck transforms and, like, becomes more bulbous, his legs stretch out to become, like,
all the muscle, like, builds up in there and everything, like...
Yeah, like, tears through, like, his...
Yeah,
his
it
jeans,
literally
like,
tears his trousers, like... Like, what? Oh, sorry, I just remembered something that was kind of cool, that I liked. Remember when Singh first gets into that fight with all the other guys?
Yeah.
And, like, he starts stamping on, like, loads of their feet like a machine gun, and, the Beast is just like, what is this, kid stuff? Well, at a later point in the fight, like, Singh more or less just, like, shows that he's like, no, I'm just better than you now, and starts systematically breaking him down. So he starts, like, chain punching him, and it's a bit like a Wing Chun classic, where, like, they're right up close to each other, like, punching and catching. So it's like having this proper Ip Man, like, back and forth, but at super speed as well. And then he's like, ha! This is nothing. I can catch bullets. And then what happens? Like, he just stomps on his foot. He was mocking the technique, and then he gets caught by it anyway. It's like, shit, this is kind of cool. There's, like, lots of proper little moments here.
Yeah. I think I really like that every fight is entirely contingent on the characters behind the fight. You could like, and that's something that's really rare, and I think especially doable with the more cartoony style. But like the fact that none of these are interchangeable. You could not give any one moment in anyone's fight to anyone else.
Yeah,
It makes sense. It's all absolutely contingent on which character's doing it.
Every fighter is literally like, hey, I have this specific style. It does these things.
I think that's actually also, even though a lot of the martial arts isn't real, if you like, I think that is the big advantage to having the movie be made by a martial artist. It's a talent of like, if you've seen any of the Bruce Lee directed stuff from Game of Death.
Oh yeah.
Like the Kareem Abdul-Jabbar fight and stuff like that. I get the same vibe where it's like, I don't think, like, I'm not a martial artist and I don't think I could have done that because I'm never going to quite be able to think in those terms.
Yeah.
Of like, I'm going to look at this person, I'm going to see what their exact skill set is, and I'm going to perfectly write that skill set in. I think it requires a very specific sort of perspective to be able to do that. I think it's why that, like I say, those Bruce Lee, like the scenes Bruce Lee came up with were so stand out. I think it's why Jackie Chan movies work so well. And I think it's why this works so well. And that's really cool to watch. It is really cool to watch. Because every fight is truly unique.
Yeah. Like, it is literally, like, you get what? A group fight at the start, each with, like, a dude doing crazy kicks. Then, like, a dude comes in with, like, steel armbands. Then, like, a bow star fight. Then you have, like, a close quarters fight with, like, armbands, another dude. Then you got like a surreal magic sword fight against spears. Then you've got like a couple who are like battling against like a superpowered like guy. Like, it's just so good. Like the fights are just every single one is interesting. Like, what was one of the things I liked when Helen and Paris are fighting? I liked that they brought the bell with them, and I was like, what the hell? Like, is there going to be like some kind of magic technique? If you strike the bell like 12 times, you die.
Yeah,
and then it's like, oh no, it's just a megaphone.
She's using it to amplify.
Yeah, because her martial art is that she can like do the lion's roar, which is a super powerful yell. Which is great because she's loud and likes yelling at people. Yeah.
Again, it ties in with the character. It's all linked.
It's so good.
I honestly, there is something truly great about that. Even like with like kind of Toad style is like that kind of, he's kind of slippery. He's a trickster. He's got that, if you look at Toads in fiction, that's kind of how they are. So it's that he's kind of greasy and gross as well. It all ties in. You can't separate the two.
I literally, while sat here now, just realised why the landlord Paris is the way he is. Like, he's a lecherous guy because people will then try and hit him.
Yeah, and he dodges.
And his whole thing is about dodging or deflecting hits.
Yeah.
So he's actually the way he's finding excuses to practice his own martial art.
The way his martial art is introduced is him dodging a bunch of hits and having the other guys all hitting each other.
Yeah.
As he's like expertly dodging every single blow.
Holy crap.
Yeah.
This movie is good.
Yeah. Okay. Honestly, it's one of those things like because I think again on the surface it's like wacky comedy, and then it's like, no, this is so tightly written.
Yeah. Like, nothing is wasted.
Yeah.
Everything is utilised.
This might actually, thinking about it, beat out... I've always said that Hot Fuzz is like the perfect screenplay.
Well?
Because every single line of dialogue, every single moment, every character moment comes back in some way.
Mm.
I think this might beat that. Because it does it in a more subtle way. It
Yeah,
does it in a way less obvious and less direct way.
Like,
but in a way that's actually way more rewarding, and also rewards repeat viewing a lot more.
Yeah. Like, I was going to say, have you seen In Bruges?
Yeah.
Because I would have said In Bruges, because everything comes back at a certain point. Like, I think my favourite moment was when I was like, oh, wait, the whole reason that... I can't remember who the guy with dwarfism
I'm so bad at remembering names.
Yeah.
So.
Well, the reason why he is a racist piece of shit, like in the movie, because he's like, there's going to be a race war, guys, between the blacks and the whites. Who are the Vietnamese fighting with? The reason why is when he gets killed later on in the movie to like set up the very final set, like the final like bit of the movie. It's so you don't have to feel bad about it. It's like, oh yeah, no, that guy was an asshole, so it's fine that he died.
Yeah.
It's like, oh shit, like that was what my favourite moment when I realised, and I was like, yeah, it's like, but now I'm looking back and I'm like, holy crap, you're right, shit, Kung Fu Hustle.
Yeah, it might be some of the tightest writing that I think I can, that off the top of my head.
Yeah, like shit.
Like I say, Hot Fuzz is up there definitely, but I think this might actually be.
Yeah, because I'm like, there's literally not any loose end, man. This is so bad because I'm like, I'll probably just watch this movie after you go, man. Like,
yeah, honestly, it is. Yeah, it's really good. Like I say, it also is so rewarding because, like I say, it rewards this format. Just us sitting and analysing it. And just being able to pick out all these things.
Fully squee about this damn movie. Like
Yeah. It's... Yeah, this is... It's actually really impressive the more I think about it.
Yeah.
And normally I have the opposite thing with movies. I can like a movie and then ruin it in my own head afterwards.
Right,
That was my experience with Skyfall. I walked out of Skyfall thinking, hey, that was a pretty good movie. And by the time I'd gotten home, I'm like, God, that movie's fucking stupid. Why was a heating hooked up to the internet? How did he hack into that?
Don't worry, he's Hacker Man. He can hack everything.
Yeah, he literally is Hacker Man.
Don't worry, I'm gonna hack James Bond back in time.
He hacks a train off of its rails, and uses it to attack Bond.
Yeah, like, you know, that's why you gotta watch out for them DDoS attacks, man. Like, train can get destroyed.
Like it's still like a tight movie in the sense of like the flow of events. It's very functional script, but I kind of annoyed my way out of liking that movie as much. Whereas this, like, the more I think about it, the more I find to appreciate. I really appreciate that in a movie, especially a movie that's so outwardly stupid.
Right, like it is a little bit like again we're swerving all over, like a bit like RoboCop. If you want to sit down and watch the movie and be like, yeah, man, I always wanted to watch a giant robot guy shoot a dude. Fucking great movie.
Yeah.
Oh, what? You want to, like, stop and think about it? Like, oh, there's some political commentary here. Oh, like, look at the themes that are going on, like the self and rebirth. And, oh, my God, like, this movie's kind of deep. Oh, shit. Like,
oh, man, this predicted gentrification, like, 20 years early. What the fuck? How was it so on the ball?
Like, you see this fucking secret, like, credit that's there that no one noticed? Just Karl Marx. He's just there, like...
Yeah, RoboCop's great.
Mm-hmm.
I've said this already, I think, except I think it might be on the podcast episode we lost, but I totally want to do an episode where we talk about RoboCop at some point,
yeah.
because I have so much to say about that movie and the sequels.
Yep, and that god-awful reboot.
Yep. Fuck Reboot Cop.
Oh, yeah.
But no, this definitely is, like, the same way I feel about RoboCop. It was also the same way I felt about Death Race 2000. I don't even know if you've seen Death Race 2000.
No.
Good movie. Although very ropey because Roger Corman. But both of them, though, and much like this, are, like, on the surface really, really dumb, but the more you dig into them, the more you're like, wait, actually, no, this is really actually pretty good.
Yeah, like, is this a clever movie?
yeah, it's like they're secretly smart. I definitely appreciate that. You know, it's one thing to be a clever movie and kind of be up your own arse about it.
Yeah.
Inception. Although I would argue that's not that great of a movie either.
Yeah, I know.
It's just like, Ocean's 11's with dreaming in it.
Like, I personally, like, I remember when people were like, yeah, so, like, you know, it's really trippy and it's kind of hard to follow. But, like, they go into a dream and then they're within a dream. And I was like, what, you mean, like, Shakespeare, where they had a play within a play?
It's not even that complicated.
Like, I was like, this is, like, man, people have been doing this for hundreds of years. Shut up.
It's not fucking...
Yeah, I was very unimpressed.
It's not Mulholland Drive. You can follow it. It's...
Right? I was like, this... I don't know why so many people were like, yeah, this movie's complex, man. Like, like, do you... And then at the end of the movie, is he still in the dream or not? Like, wow, like, the movie's got, like, a mild, like...
You know what also did that? That exact same question? Right? Going back to movies that are outwardly stupid but are secretly clever. Total Recall.
Yeah, that's true. God, I love Total Recall.
Yeah? Fuck the remake / sequel?
God damn it, yeah.
Because for a while movies were doing that. Like The Thing also tried to do that. And it's
like, man, like, I know this is weird now. So we're definitely at the end of the review. But when, like, bloody Knights of the Republic and you're like, surprise, you've been actually playing Total Recall the whole time. Oh, yeah, that was great.
But yeah, it's something I appreciate though. Like going from, like I say, RoboCop, Total Recall, Death Race 2000. I mean, there's a bunch of them to be honest. Like these movies that, on the surface, really kind of wacky, really silly.
Yeah.
You know, not movies that you'd ever think to take seriously.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm not as big of a fan, but I would also say Ghostbusters fits into that category.
Okay.
You know, there's a lot more to it than it kind of outwardly seems. This is one of those movies. Definitely.
Like, I partly feel that, well, just to bring the ire of the internet, like 4 years, 5 years now, because it'll be next year, too late. I would love to do, like, a thing on, like, Ghostbusters and the remake, or this 2016 movie. Like, just because I was like, I'll be like, hey, guys, original Ghostbusters isn't even that good.
I want to wait until the inevitably bad Ghostbusters 3, and then we can cover it.
I like it
because it's not going to be good, guys. Like, I'm sorry, but here's the thing, and I know you don't want to hear it, but Ghostbusters does not lend itself to sequels.
Yeah.
It was like a very specific thing that involved a very specific group of people. They had all of the original cast, writers and everything for Ghostbusters 2, and it fucking sucked.
Right?
Sorry, this movie isn't going to be any better.
Mm-hmm.
This is, and especially because it's an apology film. And when are they good? Was Rise of Skywalker good? The best apology movie that I know of is Highlander 3. And when that's top tier, you're in bad company, okay?
Yeah.
Because don't get me wrong, I love Highlander 3, but it's just Highlander 1 again, but with some magic and no money. So...
And I just pretend that none of the Highlander sequels ever happened because there can be only one. It was the end of the series. It's done.
Oh, yeah. Like, having sequels makes no sense, but I am weirdly invested in that series. I watched the TV show. I watched the cartoon show. I watched The Raven, for fuck's sake. Nobody watched The Raven. I watched all of the movies one time, all in one night. I've seen the anime. I've read Dark Horse comics.
Jesus. Okay, yeah, you're way invested.
Yeah, the anime is actually pretty good. The anime is actually decent.
How do you do Japanese Scottish accents?
Oh, they just don't.
I know.
Well, to be honest, nobody does.
I know, but I like the idea of them being like sending a load of Japanese people to like Scotland to pick up like the accent, and then they come back, but then speaking Japanese still.
But yeah, I'm trying to think of some sort of avenue to bring it back to Kung Fu Hustle.
So Kung Fu Hustle, it's a great movie, and I really love it. I will actually give it 10 out of 10.
Wow, the first real rating since Coffee. Since Coffee, when we decided to do ratings and then immediately abandoned it and went to joke ratings for a little while.
Yeah.
An actual bona fide 10 out of 10. You know what? Same.
Yeah.
Same. I cannot fault this movie. Like, I'm trying to think of some sort of negative. I actually can't.
Yeah, like, I remember, like, for a while I was in the grey area going, I think some of the CG aged badly, but actually, now rewatching it, I'm like, no, it's very obviously intentional.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, I can't find an actual fault. That's very rare for me. I'm the most nitpicky motherfucker out there, and I can't think of a fault. So, straight up, 10 out of 10. If you haven't watched it, watch it. I don't know why you've listened to all this. This must be gibberish to you. Watch the fucking movie. It's a good movie.
Oh, yeah.
Really good movie. The two of you that I know listen to this have probably seen it, so you know it's a good movie. The rest of you, you know, all 4 other people, just watch the movie.
Yeah, man.
It's a good movie. That's about all we got to say, so until next time, like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell, blah-de-blah, all that stuff all the other YouTubers say. Until next time, Ian Beale.
Ian Beale.